So here I am again with another General's Log. This match is going to be 4 versus 4 with hard AI, all using General Ling. So, should be pretty interesting if it doesn't crash my computer anyways. I have a little bit of experience as Ling, just messing around with the mod and seeing how the special generals work, but I don't know enough about her to really make a strategy video or anything just showing off what she has yet, so I figure a good compromise is just to fill out the list with hard AI and have max starting cash, since we're all just going to build all the good shit right away. Should be a pretty good opportunity to see most of what she has, but I don't think the AI is going to use literally everything. That would be, well, that'd be a new one on me anyways. They tend to just pick one strategy, one build, and they often leave out one thing or another. As for what I'm going to build, probably a whole lot of Ravager tanks and Gatling tanks, because there's some really good upgrades from the, well, it's not a propaganda center, I forgot what it's called, but it's the same damn thing. I may avoid using air units, because there's going to be a lot of Gatling weapons out there, and, well, a ground assault just seems smarter right now. Maybe some artillery later on if tanks and Gatling weapons and ground forces can't get the job done. This feels like a ground map to me, especially with the Ravager tanks and all the bonuses they can get. It's pretty awesome. I think another thing that's worth aiming to do is to get a dozer up to the front line and try to help out Purple with some defensive structures, since I'm not going to be sending a whole bunch of units out that way until I have a horde big enough to really cause a whole lot of damage, so yeah, they're going to have to wait for a while for any help on my end. So a couple of towers well placed should probably do the trick just fine. Other than all of that, I guess I'm just going to be winging it here, since I'll probably learn a few things about the general while I'm doing this. So yeah, it's a learning experience, that's the best I can say. Yeah, I just can't make this a regular video. It's just not quite up there, but pretty good for just talking shit and just saying what's on my mind. I don't have to focus on the game 100% since I already know what I'm probably going to do, and I had the AIs to back me up, so I'm not going to get rushed down. I can focus on making a horde, and even if it's not the correct type of horde for the attack, I can more likely than not do enough damage. If nothing else, I'll have my super weapon up first at least. In the meantime, I have some building to do, so it's a good opportunity to talk about what's going on this month. So this month I decided I'm going to work on a cartoon. It's been about a year since, well actually it's been a little bit over a year since the last one. And I kind of miss making little cartoons, even if they're not really animated that much. Yeah, working on a time budget here, what can I say? Plus, I'm not like a real animator or anything. I just do this for fun, right? So I have a Christmas cartoon coming up. I plan to have it posted on the 25th. And I don't see anything getting in the way of that. The script is done. I'll have a couple of guest appearances on it. And I think it's pretty fucking funny. But then again, I wrote it, right? Of course, I think it's funny. Personally, when I make a cartoon, I feel like I failed a bit if I didn't at least piss a couple of people off making it. It shouldn't affect the posting of my Command & Conquer videos too much. The main thing that'll mess with that is just the holidays in general, you know, visiting family and such. A little bit less time to get done what I need to get done, since I don't really get a holiday break. I'm still working like everybody else. In fact, a lot of the animation and drawing that I'm doing is being done on my cell phone at work. I have a new, what is it, a Note? Yeah, it's a Note 4, that's right, but it has a little pressure-sensitive pen, which is just perfect for doing what I need to do. Not as good as using the tablet at home, but I can clean up the drawings at home, and that doesn't take much time at all, so I've got a little bit of an interesting workflow going. I don't think my boss minds anyways. Anyway, I don't need to go into the whole job thing. That's just going to remain a mystery until someone digs everything up on me, exposes my secrets. So good luck with that, whoever you are. I've Googled my name. There's lots of really interesting results that come up on that, so have fun digging through that shit. As far as what the cartoon's about, I don't want to spoil that yet. I just want to post it and see how everybody reacts, positive or negative. I like all the feedback, especially on the cartoons. It's just something I always wanted to do, but there's time constraints, and anyhow, that's the basic explanation. I don't want to get too deep into it. It's just a bunch of information that doesn't really matter. The main point is I'm making a cartoon, I'm excited about it, and I'm going to make more Command & Conquer videos too, of course. more Shockwave, more Zero Hour, all that. But yeah, it's just going to be a weekly upload thing until the end of December. Just so that I can take a little bit extra time to make the cartoon and make myself happy. You know, give myself a gift this year.
We will live in prosperity. Build orders complete, sir. Let's get contact. Unable to build them. Let's get contact. Construction. Nice when it's done.
Now, as far as what I have planned for after January, I don't really have anything in mind yet. I think I might start on the Command & Conquer 4 riff I was planning on doing, because that game really has it coming, and it would be fun just to rip on a game that deserves it. I rip on Shockwave and Zero Hour a little bit just because I've been playing it for so long, but it really doesn't deserve it. Not nearly as much as Command & Conquer 4 does. So for January, plan on more Shockwave, Zero Hour, and CNC 4 riffs. Maybe some Red Alert here and there. I'm just playing that one on and off for the fun of it. Not too intent on playing several different RTS games at the same time. That shit gets maddening after a little bit. It's just hard to keep up with so many systems. Fun, but it makes commentary really hard when you're going through a library of several different units from several different games through your head to make sure that you pronounce everything fucking right. After a certain point, it just becomes a little bit too much. Though there are still a couple of other RTS games I might still play. Maybe just one-offs, you know, to where I just show it off and have a little bit of fun, or maybe clear through a campaign or something like that. Nothing too heavy, you know what I mean? Age of Empires HD is a good one. Command & Conquer 3 is something I wanted to look at again, although I know the artificial intelligence cheat's really bad in that game. I still don't think it's a bad one. At least when you have shit like Command & Conquer 4 to compare it to. I'd play Command & Conquer 3 all fucking day long compared to that. From what I can tell, the main consensus is that the series went downhill right after Zero Hour. Some people even say it went downhill after Red Alert 2. They don't even accept Zero Hour because Westwood didn't make it, you know what I mean? And I don't really agree with that, although I really wish Westwood was making RTS games like this again. It's just not happening right now, and you gotta take the best you can get. Either that or play StarCraft, you know? It's not like StarCraft's a bad game either, it's just, well, it's not Command & Conquer. Oh, well, I guess I get their point then, you know? It's not what you wanted. So when somebody makes Red Alert 3, and it doesn't play like Red Alert 2 or Red Alert 1, it does kind of throw you off a bit. Although I thought Red Alert 3 wasn't that bad personally. It's not Command & Conquer 4 bad. It's not Zero Hour good either. It's not Red Alert 2 good either, but as far as RTS games go, it was pretty solid. It didn't have anything terribly wrong with it. It just wasn't super exciting after a certain point, you know? And that's kind of a problem. If an RTS game bores you and the unit variety's not interesting and stuff like that, the whole strategy portion of it just falls to shit. It just stops being fun, and I think that's the biggest problem with Command & Conquer 4, and it's just really bland. Really, really, really bland. I think the reason why that's so disappointing is because the Tiberium universe is pretty interesting. Nod as military is fucking awesome. And the GDI are pretty fucking cool too. All the sides are cool on that. The whole Tiberium thing, the way that it kills the infantry, but it's the shit that you harvest, fund your war, it has a lot of really cool shit going for it, so when you take something that's high fantasy like that, then make it bland, it almost takes an effort to suck all the life out of something like that, you know what I mean? Hard to tell whose fault it is either, because the development team could want to do a whole bunch of stuff, but if the publisher says, no, MOBAs are popular, or this is popular, or we need to make it completely different, there really isn't that much the developer can do about it. They have to make the game. On the same end, the publisher can, put down the money, get the licensing, and do everything kind of like Sega with Aliens. Then you can have somebody like Gearbox who just takes advantage of the situation and fucks everybody over, including the customer, and, well, that shit's just despicable. Taking money out of our pockets and taking money out of the publisher's pockets, just a dick move. Because it's not like it's going to teach EA anything. Hey, we put out a shitty CNC game and cost you money, haha. All that does is kill the fucking franchise, so nobody can make a Command & Conquer game anymore. So if they purposefully tanked it and just, took all the development money and ran, that's shady. That's why I hate Gearbox. Borderlands is a good game. It's not my cup of tea, but I can see why people like it, but they really fucked up Duke Nukem Forever and Aliens Colonial Marines. And Command & Conquer 4 kind of feels like it's in that same territory of it could have been a good game, but they just fucked it up. So I'm a little bit more inclined to blame the developer on that one. That being said, I'll probably just save my barbs for CNC4 for the actual video, because, yeah, there's a lot to say about that game, and very little of it's good. Makes you think, though, what fucked up these games? Is it the developer, the publisher, the development circumstances? Could be a lot of different things. For instance, Command & Conquer 3 and Red Alert 3 were released on consoles and PC, so when they made those games, they had to keep the PC and the console in mind. It's kind of backwards to where on Red Alert for the PlayStation 1, Red Alert was already out long before they decided to port it over. And while they did do Dune for the Genesis and it worked out alright, it's kind of odd to develop an RTS for console and PC. Well, no, it's not odd to develop an RTS for console and PC, but it's odd to develop them for console and PC at the same time, I guess is what I'm saying. And that Dune for the Genesis felt like a port of a PC game, and Command & Conquer Red Alert on the PlayStation 1 felt like a port of a PC game. Command & Conquer 3 and Red Alert 3 are different in that they were developed for the console and the PC at the same time, so even if you're playing the PC version, you're still playing an RTS game that was tuned to consoles, which all are at the same power and all have the same limitations, so you don't quite have an experience like you do with Zero Hour, to where you can have just a crazy amount of units on the screen at the same time for the time that it was made anyways. Because of the limited hardware, things like unit caps and other restrictions bleed over into the PC version, so you don't quite get the same experience as you do with something like Zero Hour or even the older Command & Conquer games. So while I don't particularly hate Command & Conquer 3 or Red Alert 3, I can see where people come from when they're kind of pissed off about it and don't think that it's better than the older ones, because it's not really a PC game, I guess is the best way to put it. Command & Conquer is generally thought of as a PC game, so well, it's like getting a Dr. Pepper when you order a Coke. You might not hate Dr. Pepper, but you ordered a Coke, so yeah, it does piss you off a little bit, and it should. On the other hand, somebody else might also love Dr. Pepper, and the change-up might not bother them at all. They may even think it's more fun to play it differently, or in this circumstance, to get a Dr. Pepper instead of a Coke. Maybe they really wanted a Dr. Pepper the whole time. Soda metaphors aside, I think you can come to a general consensus that the older Command & Conquer games were the better ones. It's a downward slope after Zero Hour, or Red Alert, but I think after Zero Hour. I just flat out don't agree with the thought that a certain developer can't make a certain game because they didn't make the first titles in the series, you know? And I have experience with that. I'm a big Twisted Metal fan, so I played Twisted Metal 1 and Twisted Metal 2, then they swapped developers for Twisted Metal 3 and 4, and both of those games sucked really bad. Then they swapped it back to the old guys for Twisted Metal Black and Head On and the new Twisted Metal, and well, they kind of fucked up the new Twisted Metal, so they got 2 right and then fucked up on the 3rd. Well, I guess 3 right if you count Small Brawl, but all that aside, the latest one they did kind of, well, not sucked, but they didn't finish it, and there's issues with it, you know? The same kind of issues you would get with a Command & Conquer 3 or a Red Alert 3, to where it's just not all there. It doesn't feel like the old games, and that's an issue. Although with TMX, the issues also come down to netcode and bugs and shit that actually fuck the game up, so well, maybe it's not the best example, but it's the best example I have personally, in that you can trust a developer and they can still make a shitty game, and you can run into a new developer that has no experience with the game series at all, and they can come in and make a fucking brilliant game. That's just how that kind of shit works. Though I don't have too many examples of outsiders coming in and making a brilliant game, I'd say Zero Hour qualifies as one of the better examples, in that it wasn't made by Westwood, and it's pretty much an EA project, although there's some people who worked at Westwood who did work on Zero Hour. It's still not a Westwood game. So, despite all of that, it still turned out really good. So, yeah, you can't just discount a game because the developer's not the one that you like. It's just not judging the game fairly. For example, I think Gearbox is one of the worst developers to ever come out of this generation. But, all that being said, I own Borderlands 1, and I had a pretty good time playing it. Not enough of a good time to play Borderlands 2, but I see the appeal of the game, so it wouldn't matter how much Gearbox fucked up Aliens, Colonial Marines, or Duke Nukem Forever, they still put out a good games in Borderlands. So people who like Gearbox aren't wrong to like them. It's just that I have good reasons to hate them, right? But I would still play a game that they would make if it was good and appealed to me. At the end of the day, I'm more interested in playing a good game than I am picking favorites or supporting certain people or whatever the fuck excuse you need to basically hate a game that you should like. Which, yeah, that does blow my mind. How can somebody deny themselves fun just out of hatred? That just seems stupid to me. But that's people, you know? Somebody could really love Coca-Cola, but you could convince them that it's the worst shit in the fucking world, and they'll fucking hate it, just as long as you do the right thing to convince them.
Unit lost.
Just convince them that the people who own Coca-Cola are assholes, or something like that, then they'll take this one thing that they love, Coca-Cola, and just say it's the worst fucking thing in the world. I just don't get that line of thought. Life's too short to spend hating on shit that you could be enjoying. It's just insanity. That brand loyalty's some powerful shit. I mean, I knew people who owned GameCubes who wouldn't buy PlayStation 2s because they didn't like Sony. And, you know, that's fair. You can not like a company and, you know, avoid their products, but if you're a hardcore gamer and you didn't own a PlayStation 2, you kind of fucked up. You know, love or hate Sony, or, you know, have your sides. Be angry that Sega went out of business, or prefer Microsoft for whatever reason. That's all fine, but when it comes down to saying, no, I'm not buying this console with these games I like because I don't like the fucking company that makes it, that's just self-defeating. That's brand loyalty for you, you know? People will buy shit that they hate, and they'll avoid shit that they like just to appease this invisible fucking master that they praise. I don't even know how to fucking wrap my head around that. I mean, yeah, Sony cares about you, but they care about your money, and that's it. They don't hate you, and they don't love you. They just want you to buy their products, so they try the best they can to make products that you want to buy. They're maybe trying to screw over Nintendo and their competition a little bit, but Nintendo's doing the same thing to Sony. That's their battle, not your battle. As the consumer, it's your battle to find the thing that you fucking want. Doesn't matter who makes it, unless, you know, maybe it's the KKK or Westboro Baptist Church or something. Then again, it's not like there aren't some valid reasons to avoid maybe being a first adopter. Like if you saw the Xbox One and thought, hey, that red ring of death was an issue, maybe I shouldn't buy the Xbox One when it comes out. Maybe wait just a little bit to see if it's scratching discs or doing anything weird. That makes sense, because you're not being biased against the company, you're just taking history into account. That's different, but there's a lot of people out there that'll be like, nope, Westwood didn't make it, not a Command & Conquer game, or nope, not buying a PlayStation, I hate Sony. Sony killed the Dreamcast and the Sega Saturn, so I fucking hate them, and I'm never buying a fucking Sony console ever. It's just Nintendo now, it's all that's left in the world for me. That's just so sad. The way I always viewed it, there's no greater pleasure for a gamer than owning all of the consoles of a generation. So say you got your fucking Sony, your Nintendo, your fucking Microsoft, and your PC. You're gonna have a fucking good time, because there's not a game that you're gonna miss. You're always gonna be able to pick up the best version of it. And even beyond that, if you have all the systems, you can try new shit. So there could be all sorts of games you can try that you never knew that you liked. You know, you could feel like you're a hardcore Twitch shooter fan, then pick up Halo after hearing so much bad shit about the auto-aim. And yeah, the game does have auto-aim, but you could pick up Halo 2 and just have the fucking time of your life with it. And yeah, that's just one of those things, you know. I guess I experienced that personally. I was like, yeah, no, Quake 3's the best, all that, blah, blah, blah. Then I bought an Xbox out of curiosity, popped in Halo 2, and just got fucking hooked on it, you know. While my predisposition against Halo wasn't entirely wrong, it didn't have the dedicated servers that I wanted, I didn't like the auto-aim, and the health system left something to be desired for me. I still had a hell of a good time playing it. It was definitely one of the best console experiences I had as far as shooter games go since GoldenEye. So missing out on that would have really sucked, you know? Yeah, those are some of the many reasons why I just don't believe in brand loyalty. I believe using your past experiences with the company to decide whether to get something on day one or not, that's a pretty valid concern to have, because you don't really know if something's going to be good or not until after it's released. So, yeah, if you're going to get something before it's out, before people can give you an honest opinion on it, yeah, use a little bit of bias, because that's the only tool that you're going to have to really gauge whether or not you want the product to begin with, which, well, to be honest, if you are that concerned about getting a bad product, you shouldn't be getting anything at launch to begin with. I can't really think of any other situation to where brand loyalty's helped anybody out. If anything, brand loyalty is what you have when you're too lazy to look up the facts or see what other people experienced, or maybe you're just paranoid and need to choose favorites. Some people are like that. They just don't feel right if they're not picking a favorite, if they're not backing one horse with everything that they have. Well, I feel sorry for those people, but, well, they're wrong. That's just the flat-out truth of it. It reminds me of my times doing computer repairs and building computers for people. One of the most common questions I'd get when building a machine for somebody is, which company makes better processors, Intel or AMD? And the answer to that is, it depends on the processor. And everybody gets flabbergasted when I say that. It's like, no, which company's better? And which company should I trust more? My answer to that was always, don't trust the company, trust the product. Look up reviews, see if it matches what you want, and then make your decision based off that. So the way that I see it, brand loyalty is really just something for people who are too lazy to see if they're getting what they actually want. They just want to buy the product and get it. They don't want to put the research in or anything else like that. And I understand that, honestly, because doing the research is a bitch, and not all reviews are correct. You'll run across reviews from people who just couldn't get it to work because they're idiots, right? So you can't trust everything you read on the internet, especially when it comes to reviews. But, well, let's just say something has 92 reviews on a reputable website and it's all like 4.5 or 5 stars out of 5. You can be pretty sure it's a decent product. But if a product is brand new and it only has 3 reviews and they're mixed, or they're all positive or all negative, it doesn't really matter. If there's just 3 reviews there and nobody's bought enough of them to actually leave any feedback, then you're just taking the risk at that point, because you have no idea whether it's good or not. So if you base the purchase of the product off brand loyalty and fuck the reviews and fuck what other people think, you're probably going to get screwed on it. Which I guess isn't always a problem for people. I mean, hell, I liked the 32X for the Sega Genesis, and that thing was a fucking disaster. And you'll find a Sega Saturn fan out there, a Ouya fan, even Virtual Boy fans. Jaguar fans even exist, maybe. I don't know about that one, that's kind of sketchy. I don't know anybody who actually likes the Jaguar, but there's probably some guy out there who's playing, I don't know, Tempest 2000 maybe? It's like the only good game I can think that the system has. And again, that's where brand loyalty will just get you. You know, you could go into the console shop back in the mid-90s and think, I'm buying the Atari Jaguar because I want the American console. And you just got fucked. Brand loyalty, loyalty to your country, loyalty to whatever. If you're making decisions based off that, then you're just somebody's tool. You're lining the pockets of liars, basically. Unless you just happen to make a right decision, but let's face it, that's just a coin toss. Personally, I don't feel too much empathy for people who lose money on a coin toss unless they have some kind of severe gambling addiction, in which case, maybe feel a little bit bad, but now, if somebody wants to be a dick and go, no, I'm buying the Atari Jaguar because I like America, I just don't feel any empathy for those people. Because if it weren't for those people, they wouldn't release shitty games because nobody would buy them, right? So yeah, if you didn't have a bunch of people going out there blindly buying shit because, oh, Sony, ooh, Microsoft, oh, Nintendo, or oh, my favorite developer, then they wouldn't release half-ass shit. The publishers wouldn't let them do it. You know, they wouldn't fucking release it. Same goes for all those hardware devices like your iPhone 6, your Xbox 360, your PlayStation 2, everything that's ever had a huge fucking critical hardware failure. That shit wouldn't happen if they thought that you wouldn't buy the shitty one. They wouldn't rush it out. They would test it more. They would make it better so that it doesn't break. But instead, you got a bunch of people that are just going to buy it at launch anyways. I got to have the iPhone. I got to have the PlayStation. And it really is because of those people that these companies feel okay with launching shit that's half-assed and, you know, not giving you a proper warranty and just punishing you for being a first adopter. It's kind of like a moron tax. They fooled you with the brand loyalty, now they got you hooked in. You know, you own an Xbox, so unless you can hawk it on Craigslist and get a profit for it or break even or something, you're stuck with that shit. You're stuck paying for the repairs for it, you're stuck buying games for it. You're not going to have a PlayStation 4, at least not for a while for most people, because, well, even though I've owned all 3 consoles, it usually takes me a couple of years to get the money together, you know? I'm not going to dump $1,000 on 2 separate consoles, especially during the launch. That would be really, really stupid, but... well, again, you got people that do that too, and to be honest, I don't think they're as dumb as the people who have brand loyalty, because at least, well, while they're spending a bunch of money that they don't need to spend, especially right now, they're still not showing loyalty to anything for no good reason. They're just buying both systems because they want all the games, right? And that actually makes sense if you got the money to do it. Anyways, I've spent this whole video talking about brand loyalty when I was going to talk about what I'm doing this month, but it's an interesting topic. Let me know in the comments what you think. What are your experiences with brand loyalty? Have you seen any of your friends having some really Stockholm Syndrome type shit, like not being able to let go of their N-Gage or getting offended that you don't like the Virtual Boy or anything crazy like that? Because I'd be kind of interested to hear about that in the comments. Or just let me know about any instances to where brand loyalty saved you. Maybe, you know, you just buy Sony products and you been treated right by them the whole entire time. That's entirely possible. Yeah, let me know in the comments. I'm interested to hear what y'all think about that. I could still go on about brand loyalty. I used to experience a lot of that up at GameStop when I used to work up there. Pretty fucking nuts, but I think you guys out there probably had your fair share of that kind of bullshit too. At least if you've ever owned like a console, like a Sega Genesis or a Nintendo, and had a friend who owned the other one, and you know, getting a fight about which is better, Sega or Nintendo, when really neither of them were better than each other. It was just which console had the games you liked the most at that point. Still, even with all that, I can't say I'm 100% right, because if you were loyal to only Nintendo or loyal to only Sony, you would have never bought an Atari Jaguar. So that's something. But then again, if you're loyal to Nintendo and not loyal to the Sony, you could have bought a fucking Virtual Boy. Or if you're loyal to Sony, not loyal to Nintendo, you could have bought a PlayStation Vita. So yeah, there's a lot of fucking mistakes you can make by just buying one brand. So again, let me know in the comments, do you think Westwood would have kept making good Command & Conquer games if they let them? Do you think you could just get away with buying one type of product and have a good experience all the way through? Or do you think you should try everything out? Or maybe you just have enough money to where you can buy everything that you want. You don't have to wait to see if people like it or not. You just buy it anyways. In which case, fuck you. You're supporting the fucking shitty game system that I hate so much. But hey, not my right to tell you how to spend your money. Not to mention, I don't really feel angry at anybody over this kind of thing. But it is interesting to see other people's experiences in the market and what they bought and the kind of experience that they had. Because, well, while I had PlayStations break on me before, I've had friends who've owned the same model PlayStation that's worked for years, and they played the shit out of it. So, yeah, there's a lot of things to consider if you're going to judge a specific company on their products, and I guess that's the reason why I don't. I just see what they make and how well it does, and don't judge it by who made it and all that other shit. It just seems not that important to me. But again, I am interested to see what other people think about it, because, well, different strokes for different folks, and maybe I'm wrong. You know, that's entirely possible. I could be looking at this the wrong way entirely, even though I'm pretty sure I got a solid grasp on it. You learn new shit every day. That's just how life is. Anyways, this match ended a while ago. I'm just on a tangent right now. I really love video games. Can you fucking tell? Anyhow, again, let me know in the comments what you think about games, brand loyalty, all that other stuff, and I'm gonna do the best I can to hammer this cartoon out by Christmas. Make sure it gets done on time, then I'll get back to the full upload schedule by January. I appreciate y'all working with me on that. I know not having the 2 upload a week thing going on kind of sucks. I like to put out as much content as possible, but, well, between family and all that other shit, like I said earlier, it's just going to be tough, and I really do want to spend a little bit of time on the side making a cartoon. At most, it's about the time I would spend on one whole video, right? So, it's not really taking that much time out of my schedule that I would have spent on Zero Hour or anything like that. Unless I can figure out some kind of setup to where I can do recordings at work. That'd be pretty badass. Though I think my boss might not actually appreciate that one. Anyways, that's all I got for now. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.